Right at the heart of England lies the city of Leicester, a city of continuous prosperity, astonishing contrast and diversity, highly industrialized and historically famous. When the Romans marched across the green fields of the Midlands, they called it Rati, for even in their day it was a centre of great importance. From this natural hub sprang radial roads to every quarter of the land. Through this ancient city, history itself has marched. The Druids made sacrifice on nearby hills. The Roman legions ruled here for 400 years. The Danes cut their lusty ways along the winding rivers. So through the long centuries of development, this mixture of so many bloods and so many ways of life settled into the foundations and building stones of the city of Leicester, in this present day world famed for its industry, its culture, and its people. This is the story we are about to show you. There are something like 100 distinct industries in Leicester, of an astonishing diversity and all in a thriving condition. Power is readily available and transport to all parts of the country is quick and easy. Boot and shoe manufacture is one of Leicester's largest industries, employing 14,000 people and producing 80 million pairs of boots and shoes every year. Hosiery with footwear might, in their modern diversity, be regarded as sufficient justification of the slogan, "Leicester clothes the world." But there is further justification for the claim. Leicester also produces underwear, costumes, blouses, jumpers, ready-made suits, overcoats, gloves, caps and hats, boot and shoelaces, and a great variety of children's wear. Both the hosiery and footwear industries have largely developed their own machinery in Leicester, and for the construction of both hosiery and footwear machinery, Leicester is one of the world's biggest centres. Engineering has outgrown its competitors and has become the major industry of Leicester. In this Leicester factory, many of the camera lenses used in British and American film studios are made. Many of the world's television systems use the products of this factory, whose standard of design and craftsmanship is so high as to have the reputation of being the world's finest. Many other optical and engineering instruments are designed and made in these same works to an equal standard of quality. The present town hall was erected in 1876 and is the centre of the city's administration. Here are situated the council chamber, the committee rooms, the Lord Mayor's suite, and the offices of the town clerk, the city treasurer, and the city engineer. A further 20 departments have gradually been forced to move into other buildings as the city grew and assumed new responsibilities. The meetings of the City Council and the majority of its committees are held here, and several future members of Parliament learned the art of debate in the Council Chamber. The Town Clerk is the chief executive and administrative officer, as well as being legal advisor to the corporation. He summons meetings of the committees and of the council, prepares the agenda for the meetings, and sees that the policy and decisions of the council are carried into action. The city treasurer is the officer responsible for the financial affairs of the corporation and the collection of £5.5 million in rates each year, which help to meet the wages and salaries of the corporation's 10,000 employees. The city engineer's main concern is with roads, bridges, and the drainage of the city. He also looks after the street lighting and examines the safety and stability of buildings. For electoral purposes, the city is divided into 16 wards, and the citizens are represented by 3 councillors and 1 alderman for each ward. 1 councillor in each ward retires every year, and elections are held in May of that year. The aldermen are elected by the council and serve for 6 years. In order to carry out its statutory powers and duties, the council appoints 25 committees and about 100 subcommittees. The work of the council is undertaken by these committees, which meet every month, but their decisions are brought before the full council for approval. The council meets on the last Tuesday of the month for this purpose, and the public and the press are present to hear a report of the committee's activities and the council's plans for the future government and administration of the city. Because of its size and importance, The council delegate to the Education Committee the responsibility for making its own decisions, except where they involve raising money. And here also the public and the press are present to watch and listen to the debates. Always active in the provision of housing accommodation, the City Council have provided over 25,000 council dwellings, of which about 15,000 have been erected since the war. The majority of the council's dwellings are three-bedroomed houses to meet the needs of families with children, but of particular interest are the estates consisting of flats, of which this is an example. These are three-story blocks, mainly two-bedroomed. All the blocks are designed to receive maximum sunlight with large open spaces to retain a rural setting to the schemes. Provision is made on all new estates for car parking space, and the whole of the maintenance of the dwellings is undertaken by direct labour. Parks and open spaces are an essential feature of city life, and there are few provincial centres in England which have a greater area of open space than Leicester. They provide for the needs of all ages: a playground for children, space for team games, tennis courts, and bowling greens. Trees, shrubs and flowers are propagated in the city's nurseries at Rotherbury, a few miles from the town. Abbey Park is one of the best examples of an ornamental park, with its high trees shutting out industrial Leicester. Here, the boating lake gives the children many enjoyable hours. The wealth of flowers, flowering shrubs and trees give pleasure to young and old alike. The City of Leicester Show is held each August in this park. The park lies by the River Soar, and linked to it by a bridge are the Abbey grounds enclosing the ruins of Leicester Abbey. after the dissolution of the monasteries, the Abbey Church and its associated buildings were so dismantled that all trace of them was lost for several hundred years. It was to this place that Cardinal Wolsey came to rest and died. The foundations of Leicester Abbey have been laid bare, and although the Cardinal's tomb was not discovered, a tablet marks the place where he is presumed to be buried. Leicester's main museum and art gallery, which was opened to the public in 1849, is in New Walk, a tree-shaded promenade cutting through the centre of the city. The museum, entered through a massive classical portico, contains a very fine exhibition of Leicester relics covering the Celtic and Roman to the modern industrial age, together with an extensive collection of geological and natural history specimens. The art gallery extension, opened in 1876, contains paintings of national repute, with works by Gainsborough, Reynolds and Constable, and some valuable examples of modern sculpture and painting. The Montfort Hall was built in 1911 as a temporary concert hall at a cost of £10,000, including the grounds. Nowadays it is used for all purposes from dances to concerts, having a seating capacity of 2,890. Acoustically, it's the best concert hall in Britain, and when the Royal Festival Hall was built in London, the designers came to Leicester to examine the De Montfort Hall for ideas. The Administrative, Traffic and Criminal Investigation Departments of the Leicester City Police are situated at the headquarters in Charles Street. But the present force strength of approximately 400 men and 20 women has made necessary the breaking down of the police district into 3 territorial divisions. Police cars, vans and motorcycles are all connected by radio through the control room at force headquarters. Over the past few years, the volume of traffic in Leicester has increased so considerably that it has become necessary to enforce parking regulations. To this end, and to relieve pressure on the police, a corps of traffic wardens was established in 1961. There are now over 40 of these wardens in Leicester. Each warden undergoes a fortnight's indoor training, followed by patrol duty for 1 week with a police officer. Leicester was the first city after London to have a traffic warden system, and the results of the experiment had been very encouraging. The marketplace, an area of about 4 acres in the centre of the city, contains the open-air general retail market, the covered fish, poultry and meat markets, and the corn exchange. There are 3 principal days for the open-air market, which contains over 400 stalls, but the fish, poultry and meat markets are open every weekday. Bradgate Park, a natural park of 1,000 acres, lies a few miles to the northwest of the city. It was donated to the city and county of Leicester by Charles Benyon in 1928. A particular feature of the park is the herd of deer, living freely in these natural surroundings, and a great favourite with adults and children alike. Bradgate House, now in ruins, was built about the year 1490. Lady Jane Grey, the 9 Days Queen, was born here, and William III was entertained here by the Earl of Stamford. A small chapel still remains in the ruins of Bradgate House, inside which there is an alabaster monument of Henry Grey, the 1st Earl of Stamford, and his wife Anne, the daughter of the celebrated Lord Burleigh. They lie under a canopy on a tomb enriched with heraldry. The Memorial Tower, known as Old John, which was built in 1786, stands on the highest peak of the park, and from here superb views can be obtained of Charnwood Forest and the surrounding countryside. Tradition has it that this tower is a memorial, but it may in fact be merely a rich man's folly. The Fire Brigade headquarters are at Lancaster Place, in premises built in 1927, and are considered the finest buildings of their type in the country. The equipment includes 12 major rescue and pumping appliances and a number of auxiliary and utility vehicles dealing with some 2,000 calls a year. The City Brigade is also responsible for the training of recruits to 13 surrounding fire authorities. The ambulance service is available for the conveyance to and from hospital of all cases of accident or illness occurring within the city area. The service is free to all users and is available at all times. In cases of serious emergency, anyone may call an ambulance by dialing 999. The message is then passed on to the ambulance by radio control. There are in Leicester 27 child welfare clinics, staffed by a doctor and health visitors, where mothers can take their babies to receive advice on their care and management, and to consult the clinic doctor on any problems relating to the baby's health. The nursing service provides male and female nurses to visit patients and give treatment in their own homes. One of the many functions of the Public Analyst's Department is to keep a constant and watchful eye on the chemical purity of foods and drugs of all kinds. In addition, tests are made to check the purity of the public water supply, record the cleanliness of the atmosphere, examine fertilizers of soil and animal foodstuffs. Leicester has always been regarded as a pioneer in the education of young children, and one of the first cities to realize the importance of good training in the formative years before the age of 5. Nursery wings, therefore, became an essential feature of all infant schools erected before the war. There are at present about 40 infant schools and departments with nursery classes. The children in these schools show independence and develop habits of industry through the pursuit of their own interests, with free movement in both organized and spontaneous play. Over 15,000 children of junior school age are accommodated in 46 schools sited throughout the city, so that the distances travelled are reduced to reasonable limits. Secondary education is provided by 8 grammar schools, with 1 other under construction, and 32 secondary modern schools. 11 of these are of post-war construction, and all contain, in addition to adequate classroom accommodation, science laboratories, art and craft rooms, libraries, gymnasiums, and kitchens. Evening institutes and youth services provide between them facilities for leisure time education for students of all ages beyond the school leaving age, and cover a wide range of classes in craft, commercial, cultural, scientific, and recreative subjects. Leicester is the centre of a county with a great sporting tradition, successfully maintaining a high standard in the sporting world. The home ground of the County Cricket Club is Grace, where matches are played by courtesy of the Leicester Education Committee. Closely linked with cricket organisations throughout the country, the club had its best season ever in 1953, when it finished third in the county championship. In close proximity to Grace Road is the Filbert Street ground of the Leicester City Football Club, used since 1891. In 1949, and again in 1961, Leicester City reached their greatest heights when they fought their way to the final of the FA Cup at Wembley. They failed to bring the FA Cup to Leicester on either occasion, yet these were both brilliant achievements, particularly in 1949, when the club were in the second division and in constant danger of relegation throughout the cup run.